What's up, guys? Adam Green here with No More News. Thank you all for joining me today, Wednesday, January 15th, 2025. Headline for today's video is the Israel-Hamas ceasefire agreement. Trump is brought peace to the Middle East and supposedly turned against Netanyahu, as some of the pro-Trump people are saying. Biden's also taking credit for it, of course. We're going to discuss that. Trump, the Prince of Peace, not even in office and already being the peacemaker, and my thoughts on that. And we have a bunch of stuff we didn't finish from the last stream about the temple cult, as well as some other news. Going to be a huge show. Thank you all for being here. Wouldn't be possible without you guys. Headlines everywhere. Trump and Biden both claim credit for Gaza ceasefire. Israel and Hamas reach a Gaza ceasefire agreement. Hostage agreement too, including hostages released, and temporary ceasefire deal. Biden set to give farewell address after securing Israel-Hamas ceasefire deal. They're both claiming this as wins. Trump's statement over on Truth Social, I believe this is true, maybe this is Twitter. He says, "This epic ceasefire agreement could have only happened as a result of the historic victory in November, as it signaled to the entire world that my administration would seek peace and negotiate deals to ensure the safety of all Americans." Trump the peacemaker, Trump the art of the deal. Ensure the safety of all Americans and our allies. I am thrilled American and Israeli hostages will be returning home to be reunited with their families and loved ones. Should I do it in the Trump voice? With this deal in place, my national security team, through the efforts of Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, the Jewish banker billionaire that he appointed, will continue to work closely with Israel and our allies to make sure Gaza never again becomes a terrorist safe haven. So they're going to completely occupy it and take it over, probably. We will continue promoting peace through strength, in all caps, throughout the region as we build upon the momentum of the ceasefire to further expand the historic Abraham Accords. They want to expand the Abraham Accords with Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia said that they won't do that unless there's a two-state solution or negotiations with the West Bank and to an end of what's happening in Gaza. So that'll be back on the table already, with Trump getting back in to expand the Abraham Accords. This is only the beginning of the great things to come for America and indeed the world. We have achieved so much without even being in the White House. Just imagine all of the wonderful things that will happen when I return to the White House and my administration is fully confirmed. So confirm all his guys. Conferred Hegseth, the temple cultist. Elon said, everybody support him today on Twitter. So they can secure more victories for the United States. So there's Trump's posts. Reporter asked Biden who gets credit for the Gaza ceasefire, you or Trump? And Biden says, is that a joke? Oh, hold on. We're on mute. Let's get that fixed out.
Thank you.
Who gets credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Is that a joke? Oh, thank you. Thank
Who
you.
gets credit for this, Mr. President?
So Trump gets to declare victory, obviously. Prime Minister of Israel's Twitter account put out a statement. Netanyahu on the phone, getting the call. This could be a good meme template, right? There's always the getting the call from Netanyahu. So you got the call from Netanyahu, him with his phone. Prime Minister Netanyahu spoke this evening with Donald Trump and thanked him for his assistance in advancing the release of the hostages and for helping Israel bring an end to the suffering of dozens of hostages and their families. Why are people pretending like this is like Trump turning on Netanyahu? It's not. Prime Minister made it clear that he is committed to returning all of the hostages however he can, and commended the president for his remarks, President-elect Trump, for his remarks that the U.S. would work with Israel to ensure that Gaza will never be a haven for terrorism. The two decided to meet in Washington soon in order to discuss this and other important issues. Ben Shapiro's take on the hostage deal. What's up, White Pilled for 25? Thanks, buddy. I'm aware of Biot symbol, Anglo-Saxon mythology, and Norse mythology. I don't attack you, just a Catholic fan and fellow father understanding, supporting a family. Thank you, White Pilled. So you're a pagan, but you're a Catholic, and you're a fan. I'm shocked to hear I still have Catholic fans. You must know deep down what I'm saying is true, and you're just sticking with it, maybe. Is that what it is, White Pilled? Appreciate you, bro. Thank you. Not all Christians are evil, lying copers and useful idiots of Jews. Apparently, White Pilled is one of the based ones. Thank you, buddy. So Ben Shapiro says it is a hostage deal, not an end of war deal. So he wants more war. It's a hostage deal, not an end of the war deal. Phase, I allow for the release of 33 it's 33 hostages. You're kidding me. Don't tell me it's 33 hostages. Is there really 33 hostages? Oh my gosh, come on. Are they just trying to mess with us? Every headline, 33 hostages, 33 hostages, 33 hostages. Oh my gosh, come on. That's like something I could have said as a joke. Wow. Clown world. They're just trolling at this point. It is not clear how many are alive. Again, the ceasefire is almost certainly temporary. He's really seething over this supposed temporary ceasefire. It is not a permanent end to the war. Phase 2 is, in my opinion, highly unlikely ever to materialize given how many hostages Hamas retains and given that Hamas will never disarm or agree to exile. Agree to exile? The deal does not force Israel to alter deployment along corridor. So what does all this mean? First of all, some hostages will come home alive. This is unmitigated good. Oh, my God. The Biden team undoubtedly... The war will continue until Hamas has no control over Gaza. This is what the Trump team said. The Biden team undoubtedly wanted a permanent end to the conflict as a condition of hostage release. Team Trump presumably told Hamas that wasn't going to happen and that this was the best deal they were likely to get. Team Trump told Hamas that wasn't going to happen, that there would be an end to the conflict. Ben Shapiro advocating for more killing of children. Oh, ratioed by 3x. You're a Jew. You might be biased. What does Dawson say? Shapiro was like, don't worry, guys. The killing will continue. Jews will steal the rest of the land. He's sad about any deals being made. Coping. That's funny. Here's Fox's 2-minute coverage on it. Let's hear what they say.
Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yangst is in Tel Aviv with new details. Good evening, Trey.
Brett, good evening. We could be just hours away from a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas that would temporarily end the fighting inside Gaza and see many hostages come home. Tonight, a Trump World source speaking with Fox.
Trump World, Eldian Friend, that's a new name over on Rumble for 20. Thanks, buddy. Adam, your content is one of the only things keeping me sane. Me too, bro. I feel that. What do you think is going to happen on Monday, and will you be streaming it? I will be trying to stream inauguration, his speech, and I don't think anything too big will happen. Apparently, Zuckerberg is hosting a fundraiser for or inauguration ball. Zuckerberg from Facebook is hosting an inauguration ball with Miriam Adelson that gave Trump $100 million, the Zionist firsters. So I don't think anything major is going to happen on Inauguration Day. The days following, we're going to see his agenda unfold. I was thinking that they weren't going to get the hostages and that Trump would have to keep on his promise and bomb Gaza, but I was predicting he would do a peace deal with the West Bank to make up for Gaza, but apparently he's going to have his peace and security, his peace deal with his first W, his peace W with Gaza. SP Heavy Industries for 5 says, would like to see a debate between you and LP at iHypocrite. Topic is race more important than religion. Who's LP? Is LP iHypocrite? Yeah, is race and the truth more important than your Jewish religion? That could be the topic. I like LP Pete is wrong about who's LP, guys. Is that just I hypocrite?
Fox News says 23 of those hostages are believed to be alive that are supposed to come out in the first round of 33. That does mean that the Israelis will be receiving the bodies.
Come on, 33? Trump really negotiated the 33? 33 is a significant number, not just in Freemasonry, but there's a 33 associated with King David. So like the Davidic Messiah having 33 advisors, I think it was.
Of some of those who have been held by Hamas since October 7th. We do know negotiating teams are meeting in Doha, Qatar tonight, trying to hammer out the final.
And of course, they are identifying Trump as Moshiach ben David, the new King David.
Details of this agreement amid reports that Hamas has not yet responded to the final draft that would lead to a 42-day pause in the fighting. Now, if approved, 33 hostages, some dead and some alive, would be released in the first phase of this deal.
Some dead? What are they, just like keeping them on ice? They got morgues?
First phase goes forward as planned. By day 16, we are told by an Israeli government official, phase 2 would start to be implemented and ultimately see the remaining hostages released from Gaza. Among that list included Israeli Americans, at least 3 of them that are believed to be alive. Brett?
Trey, if this agreement is signed, what does it mean big picture for the end of the war?
It's a big controversy here in Israel. Surprisingly, not all Israelis are on board with this ceasefire agreement because Hamas is not yet defeated, a key objective of the Israeli government. It would also mean that Israeli troops ultimately have to withdraw from the Philadelphia and Netzarim corridors.
King David was king for 33 years. That's what ChatGPT is telling me.
These key areas within the Gaza Strip. Now, earlier today, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken spoke about the state of Hamas inside Gaza, saying this.
Each time Israel completes its military operations and pulls back, Hamas militants regroup and reemerge because there's nothing else to fill the void. Indeed, we assess that Hamas has recruited almost as many new militants as it has lost.
The bottom line here, this would not end the fighting inside Gaza, but would be a pause in the conflict. Brett?
Trey Yanks in Tel Aviv. Trey, thanks.
Okay. Jew
Chief
Blinken.
Foreign Court.
Yeah, funny. Okay. No, so Trump already taking credit for bringing peace to the Middle East. So we've been talking about Trump's going to get in and look like the peacemaker. I'm also thinking that he's going to have some peace W with Ukraine and Putin as well. And I was saying with the West Bank. And the deal of the century with Palestine and the Abraham Accords are all back on the table. So Trump in March 2024 from the Israel Heritage Foundation got his second award in 7 months. With the Chabadnik there, the top guy at the Israel Heritage Foundation, they gave him the Menorah Award. And on the menorah, they presented him the menorah for his peace in the Middle East, his efforts to make peace in the Middle East. And on that menorah, there's an inscription that calls him right there. You can see, Covenant of Peace Award to the Prince of Peace, President Donald J. Trump. The Prince of Peace. You don't just call any old goy president the Prince of Peace. That is a specific term and identity from Isaiah 9:6. Isaiah 9:6 is, Christians, rabbis, everybody agrees, is a messianic verse about the Davidic Messiah. It says, for to us a child is born. They even cite this, reference this in the New Testament about Jesus. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, the Son of God. And the government will be on his shoulders, the Mashiach that is the government and the one world government of the world. And Trump, the leader of the free world of Edom. He will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, and the Prince of Peace. Of the greatness of his government and peace, there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne. I've done videos in the past on everybody identifying Trump with the new King David. They do it all the time. The prophets, the shills. He will reign on David's throne, identifying the Prince of Peace as the Davidic Messiah, and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this. So that's Trump getting this award from the Chabadnik and the Israel Heritage Foundation. The Davidic Messiah. Also, they put this same exact verse that's cited in Romans 8:17 by Paul on a billboard for Trump. Unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders, the Prince of Peace. Trump. Several months before, I think it was 7 months before even, maybe it was 6 months before, the same Jewish organization led by the Chabadnik rabbi that was there with Trump, right next to Trump when he put the rock on the Rebbe's grave at Chabad Lubavitch headquarters in New York. So remember the Israel Heritage Foundation in 2023 awarded Trump the Torah Crown Award, the Torah Messiah Award, the crown for the Mashiach. The flag of the Moshiach that Chabad has is the crown. And remember, the Chabadniks are dancing in the street with Trump signs, Trump 2024 signs, and Chabad signs. Look, maybe I'll say dance and I'll find it. Here it is.
What time is it? Almost 6?
So see the Trump flag and the crown, the Chabad crown. What's this one too? This is the edit I made? Yeah. We don't want to wait. All right. So he got the award. He goes, their mission statement for the Israel Heritage Foundation is literally to await King David's descendant, their Messiah, our Moshiach, to rule over the land and bring peace to the nations. The Ghost of Eldon 450 says, thanks for saving me from Yahweh, Rabbi Greenberg. You're very welcome. It's time I start paying you. Much appreciation from a fellow Southern California. God, not the Jewish one, bless you. Thank you so much, dude. It's such a white pill to hear I'm reaching people and freeing people from the Judeo spell. And they're donating. Thank you so much, dude. Thank you for tithing to the Goy Shiach. Spread the gospel. Spread the Jesus is fake and Jewish gospel. The green pill gospel. So their mission statement is waiting for King David. The crown, like the Messiah.
Okay. Give thanks to Hashem, for his work is good, his kindness endures forever. Presented to President Donald J. Trump for his extraordinary and heroic efforts. I like that very much. I like that. To help the state of Israel and the Jewish people. He and his family should be blessed eternally from the Israel Heritage Foundation, July 10th, 2023. I want to thank you.
And Trump making these peace deals with Arabs will be viewed as, by some, and portrayed as Trump betraying Israel, that you should not make a covenant with the terrorists. That's how they're going to portray it. Their mission statement is on their website from Donnie Darkin. The Jewish nation long awaits King David's descendant, our Moshiach, to rule over the land again and bring peace to all the nations. Rabbi links Trump to King David, says he's preparing the way for the Messiah. Of course, Trump on the Abraham Accords coin and the Temple coin and the War of Sons of Light and Sons of Darkness coin. King Cyrus, they compare to King Cyrus, King David, and the Messiah. Remember the Chabadnik from Ukraine on the secret recording told Trump that his name in Gematria, Jewish numerology, equals Moshiach ben David?
I have a little something. It's a little present. The head rabbi of Ukraine
They want you to mail
and some of the rabbis in Israel.
They want everybody at this table.
Thankful for what you do.
understand the cost of it because they're inefficient.
In the Hebrew religion, they wait for the Messiah to come.
Wow.
He says in the Hebrew religion, they're waiting for the Messiah to come. We'll put the captions on. Troggy Trog, I'll spot you crazy pills and match white pilled donations. Happy 2025. Appreciate you, Adam. May our ancestors and gods bless you and your family. Thank you, Troggy Trog. Hail Odin. Hail Thor. Appreciate you, bro. Troggy Trog's another former Christian identity at that. And he has he's a PhD in green pills.
So the Messiah Moshe ben David, if you take that name,
The Messiah ben David, the son of David.
you see where it adds up 424.
424. And remember when Trump, it sounds so tinfoil hat, but Trump just happened to touch the wall, the first sitting president ever to touch the wall at exactly 424 on the screen, Jerusalem time, right when he touches it. Like, are they planning this shit, coordinating this shit?
Take your name, Donald Trump, and then there's your name, it adds up to 424. It's something that is very, very unbelievable.
What does that mean?
It's like you have the same numbers as my Messiah, you know.
You have the same numbers as the Messiah.
Yes.
Trump's like, is that a good thing? Is it a good thing to be your Messiah and your savior? He says, elect him and Israel, or Israel won't exist. Elect him and he'll protect Israel. He'll smash out anti-Semitism. He'll be the best president Israel's ever had.
Not good. It's like best.
It's best.
It's like miracle.
Why 424? Why is it?
It's like name of Messiah. You know?
That's his name, Messiah. The Messiah comes out to 424.
What are the numbers you have?
No, it's not the number.
Exactly the number.
Your name, and the numbers, it adds up to his name. It's 424 in the Jewish. So it's like Messiah is the person that's come to save the whole world.
Messiah is here to save the whole world. And then what a here he has him touching the wall at 424.
Which is also notable as
Look,
he walks
Western Wall, Jerusalem time, right when he touches it,
by himself
424.
up to the Western Wall.
Who's playing games, guys?
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is that why you were here?
It's a solemn moment for a sitting U.S. president to honor the world for Judaism, for Jews.
There's looks like a Chabadnik rabbi with Chabad Kushner.
While it's very important for Jews, it's also very important for Israelis that the president is being seen.
And Christians. 70 years. Okay, we're going to get to that in a second. What is this one down here, too? Antichrist. Okay, hold on. What is this? You may ask, why would the Antichrist want to bring peace to the world? Because the beast and his kingdom are complete counterfeit Christ and his millennial kingdom. Micah 4 speaks about Christ bringing peace, world peace during the millennial reign. In the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established on the top of the mountains and exalted above the hills, and people shall flow to it. And many goyim shall come and say, come, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to Zion, and to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways. We will walk in his paths, for the law shall go forth from Zion. You're all Zionist if you're a Christian and you believe this. And the word of the Lord from Jerusalem, he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off, like Rome and Edom. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into... There's nothing about peace here, though. Nation shall... Okay, he's saying that's peace. Well, that's Isaiah. That's not even just Micah 4. Okay. So we read that verse. Also, 1 Thessalonians 5, in Christian prophecy, they say peace and safety, and then the destruction of the end times of the birth pains will come on them suddenly. The day of the Lord, the day of vengeance. Isaiah 63, where it talks about the Messiah will come out of Edom. They call Trump the Messiah of Edom, and he will tread the winepress and smite the nations. That Edom Messiah in Isaiah 63, that's the day of the Lord, the day of vengeance. Brothers and sisters, times and dates for You know very well that the day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night, while people are saying peace and safety. Destruction will come on them suddenly, as labor pains on a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. Matthew 24 talks about those labor pains, the birth pains of the Messiah, just like all the rabbis talk about as well. And says, they will not escape. But you, brothers and sisters, are not in darkness, so that this day should surprise you. Are we loud enough? Surprise. Oh my, like a thief. You are children of the light and children of the day. You do not belong to the night or the darkness. Now, I wanted to show you Trump in this famous photo that was on the cover of a magazine about Trump and peace with the Cold War. He said he wanted to negotiate peace for the Cold War. When they recorded this, the dove represents peace. Trump was offering, okay, hold on. In 1983, the same year Trump gets the Tree of Life top JNF Jewish National Fund, Theodore Herzl founded Zionist Congress Jewish National Fund. Trump gets their top award, the Kabbalistic Tree of Life Award. And in the same year, in 1993, Trump was offering his services as a peace negotiator between the Israelis and the Palestinians in 1983, 40 years before. We thought, get the bird, because it represents peace, which proceeded to leave droppings behind. Trump was amenable enough, but not at all happy. But it was something else. His eyes, not the birds. So Trump gets the Prince of Peace. They're calling him the Prince of Peace Award. That's calling him the Messiah. They're like, your name equals Messiah. They're getting him to touch the wall at 424. Probably. This Chabad rabbi right here, we're going to play a little clip of him. And here he is right next to Trump and Howard Lutnick, the new Commerce Secretary, as he's at the Chabad Rebbe's grave. With his prayer before the election. Ben Shapiro there. Ben Shapiro said he will announce to the world when Moshiach comes. That's what he told Chabad. That was the headline. So Israel Heritage Foundation, obviously associated with whatever is going on here in Chabad. And this Rabbi Katz behind the scenes here. Right behind the grave, the Prince of Peace has delivered the rock to the Rebbe, to the Messiah, right? That's what he's saying. Now here's a little clip of him when they're giving him the Torah Scroll Award. Let's see.
Give thanks to Hashem.
And it says in small print, and you must win and be the president again.
You must win.
You must
going to win.
All the Chabadniks and Ultra Zionists are like, you have to win. You must win. We need you. They say here, 100 more years. Seen Kyle for 25, another new name, another former Christian, says, hey, as Albert used to say, Hashem Goyim. Thank you for the years of getting the zombie Jew out of my head, Adam. You're very welcome, Kyle. Pleasure. The pleasure is all mine. Freeing you from the zombie Jews, the fake mythical zombie Jews.
Let me put it this way. If we don't win, Israel's in big trouble. I really mean it.
You're going to win.
I mean it. Israel's in big trouble.
No, you're going to win.
Thank you very much.
We'll do an encore, and that way you'll win.
They're literally in the back like 100 more years. And then on the assassination attempt, they're so-called anti-Zionists saying, oh, Mossad tried to take out Trump. Sure, yeah. They tried to take out their Messiah, right? Here's the other clip where you can see Rabbi Katz.
As we're in the midst of the...
This is Trump's award. Let's go to 20 minutes. Oh, wait, here we go. It's 11 minutes.
All right,
Listen to what he says.
Colleague, Rabbi David Katz,
Executive Director of Israel Heritage Foundation.
So the Chabadnik's the executive director of the Israel Heritage Foundation, Rabbi Katz. He's introducing Trump. Listen to what he says. We want to rebuild it's stereotyping Jews is terrible soundbite. We're waiting for Mashiach and we want to rebuild the temple immediately. And like they're literally confirming the new Secretary of Defense that is also in front of these guys saying he wants to rebuild the temple. The temple cult is in control.
Good evening, everybody. In a Jewish calendar, we are during the 3 weeks that we mourn the destruction of the Holy Temple that happened thousands of years ago.
Still never getting over that temple, are they, guys? Huh? Long memory. Magic M1 Itch, I hope that's right, for 5 says, 25-year-old cybersecurity guy new to the channel. Awesome. I'm getting new people still. That's great to hear. Used to be a huge Trump supporter. Something always felt a bit off. Have always been Jesus pilled until I watched you and Zerka. Keep it up. So you believed in Jesus until you watched me with Zerka? And you were a pro-Trump guy watching Zerka, and now you're green-pilled? Well, thank you, Zerka. Shout out Zerka. Zerka's been nice to me. He's been a cool guy to me, for sure. He's funny, too. He's also, I think, a lot smarter than people realize sometimes. He's been speaking some wisdom lately, too.
Jewish people around the world still mourn this great loss, and every year during the 3 weeks, we mourn, and when it comes the big day of Tisha B'Av, we cry, and we have the great beliefs that very soon we will be Zoiche, we will all see the building of the third temple in Jerusalem very soon.
And people are like, oh, it's just a conspiracy. Don't be an anti-Semite.
Stereotyping Jews is terrible.
Of course. Thank you, South Park. I forgot.
We know one of the reasons of the destruction of the Holy Temple was Jews were not united. Jews were not loving each other's. I don't want to say anything negative, but they were not positive, friendly, lovely. And our job to bring and to build the third temple is to unite. How appropriate it is tonight that we see all kinds of people, religious, not religious, Jews, not Jews, come together.
Goyim chosen, Kelly Pot, Jacob, Esau.
Our President Trump for what he has done for Jerusalem and for the Jewish people. We all recognize what he has done for us, and he'll be awarded tonight with the Keter of Jerusalem award, which he very much deserves. And we hope that
Keter of Jerusalem. Keter, I'm pretty sure, is the highest sphere in the tree of life.
This message will go out to the world, knowing that Jerusalem is a state of Jewish people, and Jewish people should be able to live in Jerusalem the way we Americans live in America.
Is the criteria for becoming a rabbi require having a speech impediment? I don't know, Volkish Spirit. Maybe it's something to do with their accent from whatever their main language is. This is what it sounds like, but Duvid joked about you don't want to sit in the front row at yeshiva because they spit and their breath is horrendous. That's what Duvid said. He would know. He would be one to know.
Hashem for giving us
Donald Trump.
This beautiful America.
Thank you. Thank you for the Messiah of Edom, the beautiful Edom America that we use like our shield and our sword of Esau.
Serve the Almighty. We should never be embarrassed here in America being Jewish or doing anything as a Jew does. And we expect the same thing should be in Israel. When people walk out Friday night after having the Shabbos meal, they should be able to walk in peace and not be scared from terrorists who are out there to stop them from walking on the streets and just giving them hardship day after day. So when we sit here today, we are
Okay, you're just rambling now, Rabbi.
sending out a message to the entire world, knowing that Jerusalem is a place that has to be secure for Jews. And
Okay, I can't take anymore.
Be able to see the building of the third temple, living with coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu b'mheira v'yameinu, amen.
And bring it back to the Moshiach in the temple, and then some Yiddish.
Wait a second, because he has to. You stand here.
All right, and Donald Trump, and let's talk to one more guy. Hold on. Then Donald Trump brings him back up for a prayer.
Say another one.
Say another one, Rabbi.
We all have great gratitude to this person. This is a person that doesn't care only for himself,
Suffering succotash.
for the entire world, and especially for the people in Israel and for the Jews in America. My blessings may the blessings from Israel come upon the president, his family, and all his friends. May God give a long life, a healthy life, a sweet life to our dear president, Mr. Donald J. Trump.
Painfully Jewish.
Thank
We
you,
are
Rabbi.
so
I'm
screwed.
glad I told him to do that. He did a very good job. You've done that before, Rabbi.
I love all that talk about how I'm the Prince of Peace and the Messiah, and I'm going to help you rebuild the temple. It's beautiful. We're going to build that temple better than ever. You know what else? Israel's so small. Can we find a way to make Israel bigger? I was asking that. There he is with that rabbi, the Prince of Peace. And what did the thing say, too? Where was it again? Farther back? Shoot, where was it? I wanted to read what it said. Come on, I lost it? I wanted to read where it said it's the Prince of Peace, and it's gone. All right, I guess we'll live. Because it also said about saving the world, right? They're saying the Prince of Peace to save the world, and then Trump's claiming that he got
The right side.
God saved him from the bullets so he could save the world.
Thank you, President Trump. You've spoken very passionately about how God saved your life, and I'm wondering, have you put much thought into why God saved your life? As in, for what purpose has he been shielding and protecting you?
So, I don't know if you heard the question. You've spoken about God saving your life, that I've spoken passionately about it. And something happened because that was a miracle. I never looked that way. The audience, to hold an audience for 2 hours. I just talked about it and I moved to my right, turned sharply to my right, ping. And if I didn't do that, I'm not here with you. So, yeah, God has something to do with it. It's a miracle, and God had something to do with it. And maybe it's we want to save the world.
Save the world. Maybe Trump saved him to save the world. And it says here, Peace Award to the Prince of Peace. Say something about save the world, too? I thought it did. Eternal Father shall give him the name, the Prince of Peace. He who is the... Let's read the whole thing. This menorah, which represents the eternal light of the world, is presented to Trump in honor of the celebration of doing what no other man has ever done to make peace between Israel, the UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan in the extraordinary Abraham Accords. Scripture says, number 25:12, therefore say, behold, I give my covenant of peace. And then Isaiah 9:1, for a child has been, they say the whole thing. This is like the Messiah verse. They say that this verse, the New Testament cites this verse as being about Jesus. For us a child has been born, a son who has been given to us. The authority will rest on his shoulders. He who is wondrous, advisor, mighty God, eternal Father shall give him the name, the Prince of Peace. They're straight up saying Trump is the Messiah, basically, with this award. Incredible. Saving the world.
This world is going down. This world is going down. So it could be. But I believe that. I believe that my sons are very good shooters. They're like scratch golfers, better, relatively speaking, with shooters. Great shooters. And Eric and Don both.
Okay. Look at how some of these tweets age, by the way, now, okay? October 7th, 2023. Excuse me. Hold on. So October 7th, 2023, they're blaming Biden for giving $6 billion to Iran. October 7th, when Israel was attacked by Hamas, I say now the calls for Trump to save the world and bring peace to the Middle East will be louder than ever. I said that October 7th, on the day of the attack, and Trump is back making peace deals with Gaza and the Palestinians. I said Kushner will also be back for peace in the Middle East, in quotes, and more Abraham Accords. I said that October 29th, later that month. And then October 28th, the day before, Trump will return to the White House and be the big peacemaker.
Have to do with Israel and whether, look, it's going to have to do with both sides, but a lot will have to do with Israel and whether or not Israel wants to make the deal. As far as settlements, I'd like to see you hold back on settlements for a little bit. We'll work something out, but I would like to see a deal be made. It might be a bigger and better deal than people in this room even understand. That's a possibility. So let's see what we do.
Try it.
Doesn't sound too optimistic, but that's... I was disappointed in Bibi just on a personal basis. I thought he wanted to make a deal more than Netanyahu. And I will be honest, I had a great meeting with him, Abbas, right? I had a great meeting with him. And we spent a lot of time together, talked about many things. And it was almost like a father. I mean, you know, he was so nice. Couldn't have been nicer.
Peace plan incoming. Normalization with Saudi Arabia incoming. Peace with Putin and Zelensky. He already met with Zelensky and Macron in France.
And after meeting with Bibi for 3 minutes, I looked at him and said, "You don't want to make a deal, do you?" And he said, "Well, and the fact is, I don't think Bibi ever wanted to make a deal. Why? I thought the Palestinians were impossible, and the Israelis would do anything to make peace and a deal. I found that not to." Look, it's going to have to do with both.
Calling it, Trump's going to win, come back, and start doing peace deals. I say in March 7th, 2024, Trump and Kushner will be installed back in power for peace, and then the destruction of Edom and Gog and Magog war will unfold. Probably, if they're following the Judeo script, the CNP, Tim LaHaye left behind script and getting the Christian Zionists to go along with this script. Remember, the Mossad agent was on 60 Minutes, and they're the directors, they're the producers, they're the script writers. They got you playing the roles created for you in this self-fulfilling, manifesting prophecy con. Trump was also saying they should finish it up in Gaza and do it quickly. And Trump is back. Trump is back doing his peace deals. Netanyahu claimed in Christmas 2020, 5 or 4 years ago, he says to the Christian Zionists that your prayers are being answered and they're fulfilling biblical prophecy by bringing peace on earth. Of course, he went on to kill 40 to 50,000 Palestinians after this, but fulfilling prophecy.
I wish Israel's many Christian friends around the world a very Merry Christmas. On behalf of the people of Israel, I thank each and every one of you for your prayers and for your support. This Christmas, the traditional greeting of peace on earth will once again be expressed by millions across the globe. This while our world suffers from the terrible COVID-19 pandemic and far from too much violence and conflict. But remarkably, here in the Middle East, we've been actively making progress in realizing the biblical prophecy of peace on earth, or at least this part of the earth.
Realizing biblical prophecy of peace on earth.
This past year, and with the active help of the United States and President Trump, we have moved forward with the Abraham Accords, achieving historic breakthroughs between Israel and the Arab world. Peace with the United Arab Emirates, peace with the Kingdom of Bahrain, peace with the Republic of Sudan, peace with the Kingdom of Morocco. After 26 years without a new peace treaty, we've had 4 new agreements in less than 4 months. And this is just the beginning. More and more Arab countries are rethinking traditional hostile attitudes towards Israel and are seeking reconciliation with the Jewish state. Instead of regarding Israel as their enemy, they increasingly regard us as a friend, as an ally, a vital ally and a vital partner. This is a new and revolutionary change. It will make a better life, a better place for all the peoples of the Middle East. It will make for a better world. And so this Christmas, when you pray for Israel and you pray for peace, know that your prayers are really being answered. Peace on earth.
Your Christians, your prayers are being answered with Netanyahu and Trump. Peace on earth, like Jesus is supposed to do and the Messiah is supposed to do. Bring peace on earth.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, he says. There's a war on Christmas. Nothing the Jews hate more than Christmas. Netanyahu, Trump, Putin, and Jared Kushner are following Chabad's agenda to fulfill prophecy and hasten Moshiach. December 2020.
Stood for many centuries in Jerusalem. King David established our capital 3,000 years ago. In Jerusalem, King Solomon built our temple, which stood for many centuries. In Jerusalem, Jewish exiles from Babylon rebuilt the temple, which stood for many more centuries.
Temple denier.
The Maccabees rededicated that temple, and restored Jewish sovereignty in this land. And it was here in Jerusalem, some 2,000 years later, that the soldiers of Israel spoke 3 immortal words. Hal Habayit Bi'adenu. The Temple Mount is in our hands. The Temple Mount is in our hands. Words that lifted the spirit of the entire nation. We are in Jerusalem and we are here to stay.
I think President Trump has made history. This will be remembered the way we remember the Cyrus Declaration from 2,500 years ago when he told the exiles of Babylon, you can go back and rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. This is a historic moment.
Calling Trump Cyrus.
Always remember it.
Chabad says, I hope the temple will be rebuilt soon, and this will remain a model. This is from Chabad's website. May it speedily, that is. And remember, he meets with Netanyahu and say, do more to rebuild the temple. Do more. Moshiach hasn't come. Yes, Master.
In Jerusalem, King David established our...
Okay. So Netanyahu... Hold on. Where is it? Netanyahu presents. This was December 2020. Netanyahu presents Kushner Garden of Peace Award. Dedicates a garden to Jared Kushner for his role in the Abraham Accords. Garden where they plant 18 trees, reminiscent of the $1.8 billion that Jared Kushner paid for 666 Fifth Avenue. The 18 trees on the 21st. It was the Great Saturn Conjunction, apparently, the day that he got that too.
Chai, which means life. We're here at the Grove of Nations for the planting of...
The Grove of the Goyim.
We're here at the Grove of Nations for the planting of 18 olive trees. Now, the numerical value of the Hebrew letters for 18 is Chai, which means life. And the olive branch is a symbol.
And this is the Jewish National Fund. See that? The JNF? That's the group that gave Trump the Tree of Life Award in 1983.
Symbol of peace. Life and peace. And this is fitting that we choose to honor Jared Kushner in this way, because Jared, you played a critical role in the inception and in the implementation of the Abraham Accords. These accords have shown the world that, and the entire Middle East, of course, how to shed hostility and conflict and how to embrace the path of life and peace. Now, in the last few months, 4 Arab states have chosen life and peace over hostility.
So much rhetoric of peace. Meanwhile, they weren't even at war with any of these countries that they made deals with. They already had back channel, behind the scenes collaboration, and all this did was bring above the table and normalize big weapons deals and setting up this alliance, this Gog and Magog alliance. Like Netanyahu presented at the UN, the new Middle East map that he had.
In conflict, and more Arab countries will follow as the circle of peace continues to expand. From here to today, tomorrow you go with my special representative Meir Ben Shabbat to see the King of Morocco. Please give him my warmest
Netanyahu's new Middle East.
regards and the regards of the entire people of Israel for the brave and important historic decision that he has made, again, under the leadership of President Trump and your important personal role in making these things happen. You have left through the Abraham Accords a mark on our region, Jared. I don't think it's a passing mark. I don't think
it's a biblical mark.
I think it's here to stay. It's a great thing and something that we truly treasure. So in planting the Kushner Garden of Peace as a permanent presence in this grove of nations, we will ensure that future generations will know what your contribution has been. And I personally want to express my deep affection.
And remember, Kushner's dad was a huge Democratic donor, real estate kingpin of New Jersey, the richest guy in New Jersey, who went to jail for sexual blackmail of his brother-in-law, I think it was. And he was friends with Netanyahu, that Netanyahu would come and visit and stay in Jared Kushner's room at their house. Knew him since he was a kid.
And my appreciation for the fact that the young teenager who I met many years ago, in fact, in your house, in your room, has grown to be a man of stature who has helped change the history of our region and the history of Israel. Thank you, Jared.
Small world.
To say thank you, and it says in the inscription, for your tireless and successful efforts in the historic Abraham Peace Accords.
The COVID bump, the COVID maths and bump.
1, 2.
He sent a hooker to his brother-in-law, yeah.
We're done.
Nice. Thank you very much.
Garden of Peace in honor of Jared Kushner, role brokering Abraham Accords, and advancing peace will not be forgotten.
Thank you. Wait a minute. We have to water the tree. Life and peace. Let me do it this way.
Thank you.
I think they want there.
Yo, Odin for 25. Thanks, buddy. He says, great job on thoroughly exposing the MAGA messianism trap. As far as Trump is being the literal Moshiach or just a follow-up, Kabbalists believe Moshiach will be a Michling. What's your take? I don't believe in actual Antichrist and Messiahs. None of this is real. They're loosely following a script. There's archetypes. They believe in reincarnation, so there's archetypes and roles to fill, and they obviously have a messianic agenda that they're trying to hasten, both the rabbis and the Christian Zionists. The fall of Edom, the peace before the Gog and Magog breaks out. Volker Spirit says Churchill family helped plant trees in Palestine in the early 20th century. Similar. We got some, hold on, I want to show one other thing too. Like all of this Third Temple talk, Trump Prince of Peace awards, coming in and now negotiating peace and taking credit for peace with this ceasefire already before he's in office.
David Friedman was presented with a photograph of one of the most sacred places in Jerusalem, but the image had been altered to show the Jewish Third Temple on the site where the Islamic Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock are currently situated. The Third Temple is a biblical reference to a new place of worship to replace an ancient one which was destroyed.
This president
He understood.
This is the guy from the Temple Institute, the Temple Institute coin, the third temple.
He understood we're not talking politics. We're not talking politics. We're talking Torah. We're talking prophets. That's what it's all about. And once we understand it, and I think he understood it, maybe he can't say it, but he knows. And he's pushing us. He's pushing us.
Trump knows.
World is there.
Can I ask?
Trump knows, and we know.
You said earlier that some of the temple is ready to be built in a prefab state. Is that true? Do you have part of the temple already built?
And it's exactly what we said before. It's not enough to pray for the temple. And if you pray for something, you have to believe. And to show that you believe something, you have to do. So that's why we have a lot of vessels made. We have a big altar that was made. We have programs, and yes, also some of the pieces of the temple, like this blocks itself, can be just transferred, exactly like the model we see over here, 15 times bigger than this, and the temple can be built.
This place has been a holy place since the beginning of the world, and is in essence the center of the world. And we believe that the rock inside of the Dome of the Rock, which is called in Hebrew the Even HaShtiyah, which in English means the foundation stone, is the foundation stone of the world. That is the place from which God spread out the earth. Right now it's in the hands of the Arabs. We want to change that status to return the temple to its glory, rebuild the temple, restore the sacrificial service, and the future temple will stand forever.
Okay, there's part one. This is my Twitter mix. Temple Twitter mix.
We will rebuild the third temple. We will do animal sacrifices again, and God will give us the whole of Israel, all the way up to the Euphrates River and down to the Nile River. We'll have the greater Israel that we've always dreamed of, and we won't have to believe in Jesus to get it. That's what you guys are. Maybe you'll be alive. Hopefully you'll be alive to see it. But that's the truth.
This afternoon we celebrate the miracle of Hanukkah. More than 2,000 years ago, a ruthless tyrant persecuted the Jewish people and desecrated the Temple of Jerusalem. But a group of Jewish patriots defeated a powerful army, rededicated the temple, and won back their right to worship God and freedom.
In Jerusalem, King David established.
We watched that one already. This is what I'm looking for.
Is in our hands.
Talking about the Trump base.
Is in our hands. Words that lifted the spirit of the entire nation. We are in Jerusalem, and we are here to stay.
So we're starting with the people of Israel, we're starting maybe with the Trump base, but I'm sure that maybe through Trump, everybody will understand not how Donald Trump is important, but how important Jerusalem and the temple is for the whole world.
The love of liberty must be based on truth, not temple denial.
That's Dory Gold at CPAC. Don't deny the temple. Let's see what else we got. Temple denial.
The idea of temple denial flies in the face of a great deal of archaeological, spiritual, and historical evidence that is the basis of Western civilization.
No, wrong.
We are hearing claimed that there wasn't any temple on the Temple Mount, and this is all a Zionist invention.
So when denying the older temples blurs the line to being evil for denying the new temple to be rebuilt.
Serious claims. We don't have to prove things that are obvious.
Holy Temple Mythbusters.
On the Temple Mount, this new ideology is the reality.
Some people believe this is also the Jewish temple site. What is the opinion?
But he wants to play by the political something. He wants to change the situation of the area. And we are the Muslim. What we are believe in Quran.
Oh, they're so cooked.
Believe at the Prophet of Muhammad and the Holy Land of Islam.
And this is
gonna lose because you're Muslims.
Interesting thing. The denial of the existence of the temple, I think, is more serious than the denial of the Holocaust.
So the negative stigma being associated with denying the temple. I don't even know what this is. This is
command. The sages refer.
This is where he says it has to be on the Dome of the Rock.
Where all prayers, halacha, forbidden areas of higher sanctity. It's important to note.
This is the guy. This is the Rabbi Chaim Richman from the Temple Institute.
Temple Mount is a very large area, 37 square acres, the equivalent of 25 football fields. However, not all of this area has the same level of kedusha as the original sanctified Temple Mount. The sanctified Temple Mount in the time of the First Holy Temple was 500 square cubits. Today, as a result of King Herod's expansion in the time of the Second Temple, the mount is almost 5 times this size. When we go up to the Temple Mount, it is to these areas of lesser sanctity that we ascend, while scrupulously avoiding the area of the temple itself. In fact, the route which is taken to ascend the mount in accordance with halacha goes nowhere near any of the areas that would make one liable for a punishment of karet. In any event, on the Temple Mount are completely permissible for tamimei to enter. In fact, even a corpse itself is allowed in this area of the Temple Mount. This halacha is universally accepted. Thus, our sages relate that Moshe Rabbeinu took the bones of Yosef still 7 square acres, the equivalent of 25 football fields. However, not all of this area has the same level of kedusha as the original sanctified Temple Mount.
Holiness.
The sanctified Temple.
All right, enough of that. Darmy for 11 says, Adam, please frequently remind people watching on Rumble that the main action is here on Odyssey. I have been watching you forever on Rumble, but only just figured out that the donos and chats you read are all on Odyssey. Yeah, Odyssey is the home base. Rumble's Peter Thiel and the Magatards. Odyssey was there for me when I needed it before Rumble existed. When I was banned from YouTube, banned from DLive, Odyssey was there. BitChute was there without the streaming, but they were still there. And yes, everybody on Rumble, best way to watch is over on Odyssey. You can find the links in my Twitter bio, on nomorenews.org, in the description below on Rumble. Odyssey is the best place to support through as well. That's where you can also click the join button. $5 a month subscription. But we appreciate Rumble too for being there. There's usually more people watching on Rumble, but almost all the donos come in from Odyssey, which is a good thing. Thank you, Darmy. There was one more I wanted to play too. Here we go.
It talks about historic status quo in the holy site in Jerusalem. You dig more in the details, they are calling for the so-called, they refer to the Temple Mount, which is Al-Haram al-Sharif. It is Al-Haram al-Sharif.
This is the Palestinian
They want to open it
representative
to prayers for whom they call all religious parties, meaning that mosque, that Al-Haram al-Sharif, now they want to divide it in a similar way to what they did in Al-Haram al-Ibrahimi and Al-Khalil. Muslims can only
That's
pray.
they want to do similar to what they did at the Cave of the Patriarchs in Hebron, where they split it up and gave half of it to the Jews. They're saying Palestinians, that's what they want to do. The Jews want to change the status quo on the Temple Mount so they can rebuild their temple.
Time, and then they leave. They allow the Jews to come and to pray there, which is violation of the historic status quo. So they say something in one hand that looks deceiving. You dig into the details, you see that it is in essence violating it, and they wanted to divide Al-Haram.
They ain't ever gonna stop, bro. Oh, here we go. Here's one more.
Examples.
It has a picture of the temple itself. We hope that the declarations of both Cyrus and Trump will lead to the rebuilding of the third temple.
When is the building?
Very soon. We've already started.
Yeah?
Yes.
And when it's due to be completed?
That depends on how fast the work.
This was 2018, 7 years ago.
And how quickly we can collect the money from the treasury.
How is it going to be conducted on the same location where the terrific.
There's only one place that it can be done in the whole world, and that is the place of the Temple Mount. That's why it's called the Temple Mount. And of course, that's where it's going to be.
So how is it going to happen?
How is it going to happen?
Yeah.
That we're going to leave part of it up to God, but I can tell you clearly that the Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Al-Aqsa Mosque is there, and it's got to move. That's basically what he's saying. Here's from an old documentary called The End Times, I believe. Here, let's see what it's called exactly. The End Times. All right, we'll do just the temple part, though.
The rebuilding of the temple.
This is a Christian's, like a smart TV Third Temple documentary for Christians. Probably 2006, 2001. I'll try to look it up.
I was given a reed like a measuring rod and was told, "Go and measure the temple of God and the altar, and count the worshipers there." Jerusalem, the golden, the city of God. Its pavements worn smooth by the boots of conquerors, Assyrians and Babylonians, Greeks and Romans, Saracens and Ottomans.
2006, I believe.
Its gates, the holy portals of pilgrims, Jewish, Christian, Muslim. Its name means peace. Its history spells
Shalom.
conflict. Yet it is the city for which almost every human soul feels a homesickness.
No. Almost every human soul because of Christianity and Islam. Thank you. No, thank you.
This is Jerusalem's Golden Gate, silent amid thundering prophecy. Both Jews and Christians keep an eye on this gate. To Jews, it is the gate through which the Messiah will enter Jerusalem and restore Israel to its former glory. To Christians, it is the gate through which Jesus Christ will re-enter his city.
Oh, how dare you!
Well-schooled in these prophecies, the Muslim Ottomans sealed the gate in 1530. And knowing that the Messiah, as a Jewish high priest, is forbidden to cross a cemetery, they fronted the gate with a broad graveyard. This
Muslims
is
are trying to
Jerusalem's
stop the
crown,
Antichrist?
the Temple Mount, the biblical Mount Moriah, and the heart of the Jewish faith. Though it covers only 35 acres, it is the most fought-over piece of land on earth. It was here, as seen in this model, that King Solomon built the first temple of Jerusalem with the cedars of Lebanon. But it was destroyed in 586 BC by Babylonian invaders.
Darmy again for 18 says Kim Iverson on Rumble just covered Trump's hostage release deal. The Palestinians are celebrating while the Israelis are whining and gnashing their teeth. Hooray. I saw her tweet. She said, Trump turns on Netanyahu. That's why he's congratulating and thanking Trump. This is part of the plan, Kim. She wouldn't get it. She's still coping in denial that Jesus is Jewish. She wouldn't get it that the Trump as the peacemaker comes before the collapse. Peace comes before the fall.
26 BC, King Herod the Great completed the building of the Second Temple. It was his greatest achievement. To this temple, its white marble facade shimmering with golden ornament, Jews from every province of the Roman Empire made Passover pilgrimages. It was here in the court of Gentiles that Jesus, in his fury, cleansed the temple of money changers and hawkers. The Emperor Caligula's attempt to install his graven image in the temple so riled the Jews that they revolted against Rome. At first, they were successful. But in 70 AD, Roman forces captured the city, burnt down the temple, and carried the sacred temple vessels back to Rome as booty. All that remains today of Jerusalem's temples is a retaining wall of massive stone blocks rising to a height of 50 feet, called Ha Kotel, or the Western Wall. In all of Jewish civilization, this is the holiest place.
What's up, Big Mama? Look proof.
What crowns the Temple Mount today is a marvel of Muslim architecture, the Kubet es Sakra, or Dome of the Rock. It is as sacred to the followers of Muhammad as the temple was to the children of Israel. It shelters a rock upon which, it is said, the patriarch Abraham prepared to sacrifice his son Isaac. It is also the rock from which Muslims believe the Prophet Muhammad ascended into heaven. Christians and Jews are forbidden from praying of the dome or at the lovely Al-Aqsa Mosque, which stands nearby. Yet the mount is the only site upon which the Jews may build anew a third Temple of Jerusalem, and rebuilding the temple is foremost in the minds of most religious Jews. The Temple Mount. Both Jews and Muslims claim it as their own. A former deputy mayor of Jerusalem called these conflicting claims a time bomb of apocalyptic dimensions. By 691 AD, the Muslims had completed building the Dome of the Rock. It has dominated the Temple Mount for 13 centuries.
This is a little dry and boring.
To make way for a third and final Jewish temple. Many Jews pray for a miracle. The temple will come from heaven, they say. But there are zealots plotting to take the Temple Mount by force. One temple activist, a former soldier in the Israeli army,
this was 2006, by the way,
attracted thousands of followers. Our vision, he explains, is to move the mosque, to move the Dome of the Rock, and to have them rebuilt in Mecca. A group known as the Temple Institute is already preparing for a revived Jewish priesthood. Ritual instruments of sacrifice are being made. Ritual vestments are being sewn. In the shadow of the Western Wall, there are Talmudic schools where eager students are trained to perform the ancient rituals of the Jewish priests. A scale model of the Third Temple has already been constructed. Yet the Muslims hold fast to the Temple Mount. In 1990, a riot erupted when a group of Jews tried to lay a cornerstone for the new temple. Many Christians believe that Jesus Christ will not return to this world until the Third Temple of Jerusalem is built. How is it possible with this tinderbox situation between Muslim and Jew?
He was given authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation.
That's Daniel 7. Have authority over all the Goyim, dominion over all the earth.
The 10-nation dictator will intervene. He will come as a peacemaker. If
Trump,
possible, he will deceive even the elect.
He will deceive even the elect, all the Christianity in America.
Once and for all, he will settle the conflict over the Temple Mount.
Oh, once and for all. Settle the Arab-Israel conflict. Who does that sound like? This is 2006, by the way, remember.
There will be no further dispute. The temple will be rebuilt.
The Prince of Peace.
And the children of Israel will rejoice. He has done more than settle a dispute, they'll say. He has fulfilled the covenant that the Lord God made with Abraham. But the celebrated dictator has other covenants to establish.
Like the covenant.
An agreement in which he restores Palestine.
Like the Abraham Accords. Listen to this.
There will be no further dispute. The temple will be rebuilt. And the children of Israel will rejoice. He has done more than settle a dispute, they'll say. He has fulfilled the covenant that the Lord God made with Abraham. But the celebrated dictator...
Abraham Accords, Abrahamic Covenant, Abraham Accords, come on.
God made with Abraham. But the celebrated dictator has other covenants to establish. He enters into an agreement in which he restores Palestine to the Israelites. This covenant marks the beginning of a 7-year period of tribulation, which will end only with the second coming of Christ.
He ordered them to set up an...
See, it's like, oh, you finally get Jesus returning once the Antichrist rules, so you need the Antichrist to rule. And all of the Christians will be deceived and led astray, and they will follow the beast, and they will think that he is their savior. You couldn't have a figure like Trump that matches this any better.
Image in honor of the beast who was wounded by the sword and yet lived.
Now the false prophet, that hidden spine of power, enthrones the dictator Antichrist in the new Temple of Jerusalem.
All the inhabitants of the earth will worship the beast, all whose names have not been written in the book of life.
His image is to be worshipped, adored, prayed to. All who refuse will be killed. The betrayed Israelites respond.
I love how that's a bad thing, but it's like if it's Jesus or the Moshiach, everybody that doesn't worship him will be killed. Like, it's the same shit. Jesus in the Messiah does the same thing as the Antichrist that's supposedly bad. Bow down or you will be destroyed. Worship the Moshiach, every knee will bow, or decapitation for violating the Noahide laws. Same thing in Christianity.
As their ancestors had when the Emperor Caligula tried to install his image in their temple. They revolt. They fight. And the dictator retaliates with such bloodletting that it pales the Holocaust of Hitler.
Alrighty then. Look at this. We got them all saying Trump is King David.
When I read Jeremiah 23, verse 4, I will place shepherds over them who will tend them, and they will no longer be afraid or terrified, nor will any be missing, declares the Lord. The days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will raise up David, a righteous branch, a king who will reign wisely and do what is just and right in the land. When I read that, I knew he was speaking prophetically of Donald Trump. He's saying, I am going to put Donald Trump back in. No matter how many rise against him, no matter how many false indictments are put against him, no matter how much opposition, if I am for him, who or what could be against him? I've called him, I've chosen him. He is a righteous man. He's a man with a heart after my heart. He's gone through trial after trial after trial. And has not turned his back on me. Is God going to be faithful to him? You bet.
So she says he's the King David. I'm trying to find any more Davids. Trump is David. Trump, TPUSA with their Zio Jesus Moshiach is King David chant. Okay. Oh, the Trump Chosen song calls Trump King David.
And I did a concert for president.
Alex Jones called him King David when he got elected in 2016. Kim Clement, the top Zionist Christian prophet that the Reawaken America tour and all the QAnon people and all the Trump prophet people are all obsessed with, Kim Clement also identified Trump as a two-term president and said he would be God's chosen one and his King David.
What inspired you to write the song?
Well, a year and a half ago, I sat at Mar-a-Lago on the lawn and I did a concert for President Trump. And I have a warrior song on one of my Christian albums, and I dedicated it to him. I said, I feel like God has protected you. Anything that's thrown against you, you're either the most honest man on earth. They would have uncovered a lot more stuff if you weren't, right? I feel like God's protecting you. I pray for protection upon you. And I think you are a warrior sent to us for such a time as this to lead us and protect us and push against the evil.
Sent by God.
So Wayne Allen Root approached me last year when the Trump One song came out, and he said, I wrote an article back in 2017. The liberal media went nuts and said that Trump was calling himself the Messiah. I was calling him the Messiah, and I did an article called The Chosen One. And I said, oh, Wayne, that's fantastic. I see where you're coming from. He said, we need to write a song. And I said, I don't know about that. We have to make sure if we do, we write it in such a way that we show how an imperfect man can be used by a perfect God. And we see examples throughout the Bible, throughout time, with King David and King Cyrus and Esther and Ruth and all of these, and Paul himself, how God uses people but they have to choose to be used, right? They have to stand up. And what an amazing man President Trump has been in the fact that he hasn't given up. I don't know too many people who would. He is definitely a lion who is blazing a path to try to protect us.
And it teaches us, I think, all of us.
Definitely the lion of the tribe of Judah, the Davidic Messiah, like in Revelation 5. The lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David. Dude. Here's Jones on inauguration. 2016. Election night, I think, 2016.
It's official. Donald J. Trump has won the 2016 election in a massive landslide. Years ago was powerful, or Ron Paul 10 years ago, or now Donald Trump. It is an exponential growth curve going straight up. Bottom line, Trump is a godsend, an imperfect messenger of God, but nevertheless, a King David of our time.
King David of our time. Alex Jones. Look at how much he's exploded in the rise in Trump as well. I was just going to look up. Okay, here they are. A bunch of rabbis are at Mar-a-Lago when some Christian rock band gets on the stage. The rabbis are filming. They're like, oh, I like this Goyim music. They're like, look at them. They're not running out of the room. They're like, oh, the Shabbos Goy worshiping our Jewish Messiah. These good Noahides worshiping the God of Israel. Your time of worship, sir. They didn't melt. They didn't melt, apparently. Okay, here's Kim Clement.
I will raise up. Trump shall become a trumpet. Are you listening to me? I will raise up the Trump to become a trumpet.
Rise Up the Righteous Branch. That's also messianic as well. 2007. Kim Clement. This is the big Zionist prophet. Listen to this.
I will be a praying president, not a religious one. But I will fool the people, says the Lord. I will fool the people. Yes, I will. God says, the one that is chosen.
You're all being fooled. Joke's on you, Goyim.
Go in, and they shall say, he has hot blood. But the Spirit of God says, yes, he may have hot blood, but he will bring the walls of protection on this country in a greater way, and the economy of this country shall change rapidly, says the Lord of hosts. Listen to the word of the Lord. God says, I will put at your helm for 2 terms a president that will pray, but he will not be a praying president when he starts. I will put him in office, and then I will baptize him with the Holy Spirit and my power, says the Lord of hosts.
I just want to ask people right there, what is... And right again, guess. If he was guessing...
So he calls him the Chosen. Where does he call him King David, though?
Listen to the president.
Might be a different clip. We don't want to hear these Q shills. But that's Clay Clark, the leader of the Reawaken America tour that has Kim Clement. Here's Kim Clement, too.
You know, Charlie,
according to my will, for it is now time for me to restore the fortunes of Zion. The fortunes to those that had it once, you are going to get it back. This is my promise, says the Lord of hosts.
Return the fortunes to Zion, fall of Edom, the rise of Israel and Zion.
Give him a shot.
That's what we can expect. Roger Stone's shilling the Kim Clement prophecies, saying that they're real with his daughter.
Goliath.
Here it is.
Are perfect. But in recent years, the giants that have come, the brothers of Goliath, stand in glee watching America. We will cripple you. You will lose your credit. But God said, watch. I said 20,000. Look not to Wall Street, however, observe. And they shall say, what is your plan for this giant? And he will take a simple stone, remember the name, and he will hold it up and they will laugh at him. But the plan is so brilliant, says the Lord, it could only have been given by me. That is the famous stone taken down.
So he's saying the stone is about him. Oh, let's see. I'm looking for the video of Kim Clement. InfoWars promoting it here too. God's plan to save America with a simple stone. That was 2021. And Trump is back for the second term, doing the peace deals, being called the Prince of Peace and the Messiah. And he was saved by God to save the world and sacrificed himself and to save all of us. Thought I had, let's see. All right. I'm going to look for the Kim Clement clip. But while we do that, this clip made me vomit. This was me after watching Trump's new nominee for the ambassador to Israel, Christian Zionist Mike Huckabee. This was my reaction to Mike Huckabee. And all of the most Zionist cabinet that America's ever had.
Unapologetically believe the
See Through It All edit, by the way. Out yesterday.
Because I unapologetically believe the Bible, I take seriously Genesis 12 that reminds us that God will bless those who bless Israel and curse those who curse Israel. I have long believed that the conflicts of the Middle East are not really geopolitical, economic, or social, but rather spiritual. And after October the 7th and the horrific anti-Semitic attacks on our Jewish friends, I become more determined than ever to stand with Israel and the Jewish people as they are targeted for attacks and annihilation. Now, I know you probably have many questions. I sure do. I get asked, are you going to have to leave the show? Are you going to have to live in Israel? And when will all this happen? And many more questions. And the honest answer to all of them is, I don't know. For Janet and me, this is a journey of pure faith. I have no idea if the Senate will confirm me, although with Republicans in clear control, that should happen. After that, I'd be required to move to Israel and begin my service to my country and to my president. I tell you what, I'm starting a path that I've never been on before, but you will be traveling that path with me for the next several weeks. But I do ask that you pray not just for Janet and me, but more importantly, that you pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
As he said, he knows that ultimately this is a spiritual conflict, and therefore only a spiritual solution will solve it. If they believe, if Israel's enemies believe in the region that they're fighting a religious war, this is the will of God, they need to somehow be convinced that this is not the will of God. To be anti-Israel is to be ungodly. That's the only way we solve this, and so that's why I'm a big believer.
Look, we got Elon is all for the temple cultist. Senators are saying, or Senator on CNN are saying, Pete Hegseth, who had his confirmation hearing yesterday, they're expecting he will get confirmed. Senate Majority Leader Toon plans to move very quickly on his nomination. Elon says good. Excited, good for the Third Temple fanatic, Jerusalem crusader, Zionist, neocon, Pete Hegseth. Big Mama for 20. Thank you, Big Mama.
They're nice.
Very nice, Big Mama. Appreciate you so much. My sugar mama, Big Mama. Maybe you can pick up a tie to go with that fabulous blazer. I have ties. I'm not ready for that yet. Maybe on a special occasion. By the way, I used to be an evangelical. You, along with a couple of other notables, helped walk me out of that mindfuck. Great to hear, Big Mama. So good to hear. People, see, this is not in vain. We are reaching people. You're the guys that help with the clips, finding the clips of the rabbis and the Christians like See Through It All, or guys that clip up the show and retweet and spread the message. It reaches people. If people get exposed to this information, a lot of them, it clicks and it's overwhelming evidence and they get it right away. If you got a little bit of discernment, you're not completely brainwashed and broken, there's a huge chance you'll get it. It's not even that hard of a sell. Christianity's fake and Jewish. Here's the verses. It's about taking over the Goyim. Open shut case, really. Thank you, Big Mama. I really appreciate you making the show possible.
Republican leader, the majority leader.
What are you hearing from senators now that the Hegseth hearing is done?
the expectation that he will get confirmed. In fact, I just asked Senator John Thune, who's the Republican leader, the majority leader, decides the schedule of the United States Senate. I asked him about Hegseth's nomination. Thune has not said a ton about this nomination. I said, does he have any concerns about these allegations of sexual assault that Hegseth has denied but came up in today's hearing, about these allegations of misconduct? And
no, he's a Christian Zionist. He talked about how he's a Christian Zionist, so he's getting the job.
And the like, and
congratulations, you're hired.
Not, according to Thune, he said that Hegseth acquitted himself extremely well, and that he plans to move very quickly on this nomination. And it is moving quickly. We expect the Senate Armed Services Committee to have a vote as soon as Monday, Inauguration Day. That is according to the chairman of the committee, Roger Wicker, who told me that he believes.
Interesting that the temple cultist is who gets the first confirmation hearing. They're trying to rush him through first. Why? Why do they need the temple cultist in immediately to Secretary of Defense?
Well, we need to have the legal action, the political action, the military action, all those things, education, and talking about who the Jewish people really are. Talking about what our divine mission is. That has to be the root of all of this, and that's why I do what I do.
Divine mission.
And that's ultimately the solution to all of this. They know it's true. Most of their ideas in the Middle East and most of the world's religion and belief system come from the ideas first brought to the world by the Jewish people from Mount Sinai. They're just waiting for our confirmation that that's really who we are. So let's give it to them.
Let's give them. Let's be their light to the nations. Let's give them their tikkun olam. Here again with Elliot Abrams, the neocon Zionist. Jews are the undisputed king of brainwashing, says See Through It All.
Coming. I got to be honest with you. I feel very, as an evangelical Christian, it's been shocking to me because I just didn't see it coming. I got to be honest with you. I feel very close to the nation of Israel, very close to the Jewish people, extremely supportive, believing that it's my Christian responsibility and duty to be supportive of Israel. And
it is your duty.
Friends. So when I see this level of irrational hate, and that's what I consider it, Elliot, irrational hate. It's not because the Jews did anything to anyone that they can measure. It's not that the state of Israel has done.
They never did anything. It's just a pathological hatred for no reason at all whatsoever. I just saw an old rabbi clip. Oh, I think that's what it was, and bookmarked it.
On anything. And they get accused of stuff, but they didn't do it.
And they never did anything. Everybody just hates them for no reason, like God intended. Like the prophecies foretold. They really run with this all the time. And the Christians almost give them plausible deniability to pull it off because of all the dumb shit they say. I'm not seeing it.
But as an evangelical Christian, it's been shocking to me because I just didn't see it coming. I got to be honest with you.
Sure he didn't. Perfect meme execution here on Pete Hegseth. All the Christians and the MAGA boomers and everybody's like, whoa, Jack face. Are those Crusader tattoos so freaking based, so heckin' based? And then I'm literally a radical Zionist who wants to rebuild the third temple so the Antichrist can rule the world. They're like, based. He's a Christian. He's got Christian tattoos. We're so back. Mike Johnson is praying in Congress. Forget that he's a John Hagee Christian Zionist. We're winning. That's the problem with Christianity and capitulation, intolerance of these temple cultists. Y'all got any more of that afterlife?
To go see.
Here's a couple Jews talking about his clip, Hegseth clip, in front of the Jews, saying he hopes to see the miracle of the rebuilding of the third temple.
One of the most exciting appointees is Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth is an Army vet, Fox show host, and happens to be somebody who's my friend and somebody that I respect a lot and I spend time with. Here is Pete Hegseth talking about Israel in Israel at the King David Hotel.
Jennifer and I had a chance to go see the Western Wall of the Temple Mount, the Western Wall tunnels, so much of the old city. And as you stand there, you can't help but behold the miracle before you. And it got me thinking about another miracle that I hope all of you don't see too far away. Because 1917 was a miracle, 1948 was a miracle, 1967 was a miracle, 2017, the declaration of Jerusalem as the capital was a miracle, and there's no reason why the miracle of the reestablishment of the temple on the Temple Mount is not possible.
What happened?
Did you hear that?
What was that? Let me just rewind that. Just make sure. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
This is the Secretary of Defense of the United States. Elect.
The miracle of the reestablishment of the temple on the Temple Mount is not possible.
Oh, she's so happy. She's like, oh, we got a Shabbos.
Yeah, I don't know how it would happen.
That's exciting. We got a Shabbos on our hands here. Code 7. No hide code 7.
I don't know how it would happen, but I know that it could happen.
He's the nominated Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth.
Calling for the Beit HaMikdash in Jerusalem.
He's like, well, why can't that happen? If the reestablishment of the Jewish state happened, why can't the reestablishment of the Third Temple? Okay.
The United States and people like the U.S. Secretary of Defense of the United States of America
nominated
are looking to us to do our thing now.
Right.
They are looking to us. We are not looking to them. They are looking to us. And if we disappoint them, it will be a fail for the generations, God forbid. And so now is our time to make sure that we make a win for the generations, for 2,000 years of generations.
Hey, build the temple for the Goyim. We got to save the Goyim, right? Hey, 25 from Bifurcatio. Thanks, bud. Bifurcatio, you're always supporting, man. You're awesome. The Abrahamic Religious Tradition, the longest running cartoon series in world history. The longest fan fiction comic book Jewish superhero long prophecy con of all time. You're right. The greatest lie ever sold. The greatest mindfuck and mind virus of all time. Theological warfare under the Judeo-prophecy spell.
It's time for us to take on the responsibility that we have been dreaming to take on. And like we said before, Yishai, put on that yoke and push.
I would submit to you, in light of the support you have in Washington, D.C., the support you have amongst patriotic Americans, amongst evangelical Christians, amongst believers, amongst Republicans, even amongst some Democrats who can barely say it anymore in Washington, buy the ticket, take your action, do what needs to be done here in Israel, because I truly believe this is a moment where America will have your back. You have Donald Trump in the White House, you have Mike Pence as vice president, you have Nikki Haley at the UN, you have true believers in Israel and America that have your back.
All right, so that was the incoming elect nominated.
Build the temple, we have your back.
Secretary of Defense, my friend, really somebody I'm very proud to know, Pete Hegseth.
Secretary of Defense. Unreal, guys. What kind of timeline are we in right now?
Anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Here he is getting grilled by another Zionist, Tom Cotton.
And the third.
Not only that, you are a Christian Zionist.
The first one accused you of being a Christian Zionist. I'm not really sure why that is a bad thing. I'm a Christian. I'm a Zionist. Zionism is that the Jewish people deserve a homeland in the ancient Holy Land where they've lived since the dawn of history. Do you consider yourself a Christian Zionist?
Senator, I'm a Christian, and I robustly support the state of Israel and its existential defense, and the way America comes alongside them is a great ally.
Thank you. Because another one.
What do you thank you. I think we've heard enough now. You got the job. You start on Monday. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, what are your qualifications? You're a Fox News host in a Iraq war show? Okay, you've got the job. Yeah, Trump's the guy worked with John McCain and Lindsey Graham to push for the war in Iraq. And Trump's like, oh, the warmongers and the neocons got us into that war. But it's Netanyahu and this guy.
Well, another protester, and I think this one was a member of Code Pink, which, by the way, is a Chinese Communist front group these days.
And you're a Zionist Israel front slave.
Said that
sheep
you
slave.
Israel's war in Gaza. I support Israel's existential war in Gaza. I assume, like me and President Trump, you support that war as well, don't you?
Senator, I do. I support Israel destroying, killing every last.
No, he's actually pro-Palestine, actually. Could he hand him any more softballs for the Zog Masters? Auditioning for the role of head of Secretary of Defense? Like, do you support Israel? Are you a Zionist?
And the third protester said something about 20 years of genocide. I assume that's our wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
What a
Our
creep.
troops are committing genocide in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Senator, I do not.
What a slave.
Our troops,
what a
as you know,
traitor.
as so many in this committee know, did the best they could with what they had. We're not the outcomes and tragedy.
All right. In other news, Javier Milei, the president of Argentina, who also visited the Rebbe's grave in Chabad and says he's a Noahide and wanted to convert to Judaism, and goes to the wall and cries, and then gives a speech at the wall saying he wants to rebuild the third temple also. He goes and visits Chabad Rebbe and Chabad Lubavitch in New York right before he's elected, and then his first stop right after he's elected. He's been nominated, or he wins the 2025 Jewish Nobel Prize. Is he Jewish? Thought he was raised Christian and only wanted to convert to Judaism. He goes and cries at the wall and talks about wanting to rebuild the temple. I'm feeling like Adam. Are you guys feeling like Adam Green sometimes? Because I'm feeling it. See Through It All says, no bigger psyop in history than the Bible.
Of that.
Torah and his chosen people and the Jews is satanic. Worship the king of the Jews, you're satanic. Oppose the Jewish plan, you're satanic. Come on, dude.
Revulsion.
They say it's so dramatic. It's like their favorite verse. Bless those and curse those. Do you want to remember the senator grilling the president of the university? Do you want your university to be cursed by the God of the Bible? Are you aware of that? Do you know Genesis 12, ma'am? Do you want to be cursed, ma'am?
The real sense.
Saying what a coincidence because of the Cohens. It's what a coincidence that God chose the people that made him up, the self-chosen people. There's a few verses, by the way, the top one about how the Jews, there'll be no criticism of the Jews in the end times. Isaiah 25:8, he will swallow up death forever, and the Lord God will wipe away tears from all faces, and the reproach of his people he will take away from all the earth, for the Lord has spoken. The prophecy envisions a time when God will remove death and suffering, wiping away tears and removing any reproach, shame, or mocking directed at his people. Isaiah 25:8. There you go. Okay. Is there more? All right, let's see. Now we got a new rabbi clip from See Through It All.
I want to talk to you a little bit about what it means. I want to talk to you a little bit about what it means that the Jewish people are the chosen people. Because in the book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 6, it describes the Jewish people in two unique ways. It calls us a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. What does it mean to be a kingdom of priests? It means that the commentaries say that, this is the Sepharno on that particular verse, it says, kingdom of priests means to teach the entire human race that all shall call in the name of God and serve him with one accord, in the same way that Abraham had his tent open to all.
So they're chosen to get all of the world to worship their God in one accord. But they go, but we don't proselytize, but their goal is to have everybody worship their God. How does that work out? It doesn't. Do the math.
All people, every Jew is charged to go in the path of Abraham and teach morality, teach Torah, teach values, teach God to the nations of the world. Kingdom of priests means to the other nation. What does it mean? Holy.
If they're the priest, then the nations are the flock. Remember that clip?
Holy nation. Holy nation means in the same way that God is holy, is called holy, and he is eternal. The Jewish nation, which is called holy, is also eternal. Jewish chosenness has a lot of misconceptions surrounding it. People don't like using the term sometimes. Non-Jews sometimes misconstrue it. People get uncomfortable. Oh, chosen doesn't mean chosen. Chosen for the mission of what? Of teaching the world that they are chosen by God. Every human being was created with a purpose. Every nation was created with a purpose. It is the job of the Jewish nation that we are chosen to what? To teach every individual that they are chosen, that they are created in the divine image for a unique purpose.
Why are the Goyim meant? To serve the Jews. The elder shall serve the younger. Esau shall serve Jacob.
Jewish chosenness means teaching every human being on planet Earth that they're chosen by God for a mission. That's Jewish chosenness. The Jewish people.
What mission, Rabbi? What's our mission? To be Noahides and worship the God that chose you?
We're chosen to be pioneers of religion and morality that was and is their eternal natural purpose. That is our national purpose.
You goyim can't have morality and religion on your own. We gotta show you the right way. We gotta show you the light to the nations. And by the way, he mentions that they're a chosen people, Deuteronomy 26. And the Lord has declared today that you are a people for his treasured possession, as he has promised you, and that you are to keep all his commandments, and that he will set you in praise and in fame and in honor high above the goyim, the nations, that he has made, and that you shall be a people holy to the Lord your God, as he promised. A nation that shall be set apart as well.
Of us to teach, to be an example to the nations of the world of how to live a good and godly life. So the question is, do Jews have an obligation to teach non-Jews Torah? So the Rambam seems to indicate that it's an actual obligation to teach non-Jews Torah. Again, Torah that's relevant to the observance of the 7 laws.
Yeah, teach the Torah and the 7 Noahide laws to the Goyim, but they don't proselytize, and there's nothing they hate more than Christians like Jay Dyer who say that their Christianity was built upon the Noahidic covenant, like in Acts 15 in the Jerusalem Council. Nothing they hate more than the Christians believing their Torah and believing in the Noahide covenant in the rainbow.
The Rambam writes, right in Hilchos Malachim, in the laws of the kings, right before he discusses Mashiach, the laws of Mashiach, he writes as follows, that Moses only bequeathed the Torah and the commandments to Israel and to those who wish to convert to the Jewish people. However, those who do not wish to convert are not compelled to accept the Torah, right? Additionally, though, Moses commanded us by the word of Hashem to compel, uses the word compel, to compel the nations of the world to accept all commandments that were commanded to Noah.
Compel the nations to follow the Noahide laws. And they think Christianity and Islam are almost perfect Noahide, minus the Trinity, and even that's debatable amongst the rabbis now. Yeah, teach the Goy the 7 Noahide laws and the Torah, but not the Talmud. Not, in fact, death penalty for that. Not the Talmud, not the Kabbalah secrets. If that doesn't raise some red flags for you, follow this part, but don't research that. That's not important for you, Goy. If that doesn't raise red flags, you might be gullible.
There is one modern authority that stands out as unique and advocates in a way that's completely different than what may have been understood by earlier authorities. The strongest case that a Jew is obligated to teach and persuade non-Jews to keep the 7 laws of Noah is the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe. The Rebbe repeated numerous times that Jews in our day and age should be involved in this effort, whether great scholars or laymen, community workers or simple laborers. Since the Rambam identifies this as a commandment from God to Moses at Sinai, it's something we should all be involved with. In other words, everyone has to know about the glory and unity of God. And so the Rebbe encouraged non-Jews about Mashiach.
Or you have to submit to their God, or you're Amalek and you'll be destroyed, and you're satanic.
I tell you, I know from personal experience that non-Jews are very much ready to hear Torah thoughts and hear from the Jewish nation what it is, how to live a good and godly life. It says actually in the book of Zechariah, chapter 8, verse 23, that in those days, in the end times, that 10 people will come from all the nations of the world, and they'll hold on to the shirt, the tzitzis of a Jew, and say, come teach us, because we know that God is with you. It says it directly, that this is a precursor to Mashiach. And so the Rebbe asks, actually, why is it that the Rambam puts the Noahide laws, when he's codifying them, why does he put it in the laws just before Mashiach? The Rebbe writes that it's because the precursor, since Mashiach's mission is to unite the entire world, in the service of God, the precursor for Mashiach is the popularization, as the teaching of the laws of Noah. And that's why he placed them right before Mashiach's coming in his codification, even if it's not an actual obligation to teach the non-Jews.
And the Rebbe and Chabad Lubavitch are the ones spearheading the whole Noahide effort based upon Maimonides.
Proactively. It is something that is laudatory. It's something that everyone in our tradition says is a good thing to do. The Rambam says that it's obligatory. The Rebbe emphasizes this as well, but everyone agrees that it's laudatory.
Laudatory. Is there more? Okay.
There is one. I want to talk to you
great clips here.
a little bit about
Jesus was the vehicle to sell Noahide laws to the Goyim.
But even Paul, when you see what he said, Jesus never actually intended to start a new religion. He didn't come to abrogate the law. He just wanted to reinforce Torah law and to revive Jewish observance. He was like a Kiruv rabbi, and a very hardline one at that. And people will argue that Jesus is not the founder of Christianity. They'll say maybe Paul is the founder of Christianity. But even Paul, when you see what he says in the book of Acts, what Paul and James say, they say, what should we teach the Gentiles? Just teach them the Noahide laws, essentially. It doesn't use the words Noahide laws. But as we saw in the series on Noahide laws a few months ago, they were basically just spreading the...
See, like I just said, Acts 15 is basically the Noahide laws for the Goyim. And Christians don't dispute this. They agree.
The Noahide laws. They were telling Gentiles, to believe in God, not to eat ever min hachai, not to eat the limb of life. Like all this stuff is there, not to eat the blood of an animal. That's what it says. They were essentially just spreading the Noahide laws to the Gentile world, which is what our mission is, to spread basic...
That's what Paul's mission was, to spread the Noahide laws to the Goyim.
Laws of morality to the world. So there wasn't really an...
And they'll go, you believe a rabbi? Jay Dyer says the same thing. See, though it all finds clips of Christians saying the same exact thing. I mean, it's what it is.
It's a fact. A new religion at the time. It was just this messianic movement. People who believed that the Messiah had already come at that time. Every time there's like a false Messiah that comes and doesn't fulfill what the Messiah needs to do, the followers are not willing to give up their beliefs in that person because they're so all in. They've given up everything to follow that person. What can we make of all this? In the first century, there was no new religion called Christianity. These were still Jews in Judea. They just happened to believe that the Messiah had come. They believed that particular person was the Messiah. Josephus mentions a number of people who were the Messiah. There were a number of messianic movements, at least half a dozen different messianic movements in the first century. The Christian one was just one of them. So there were a number of messianic movements, and Christianity did not really start in the first century. But by the 4th century, by the Council of Nicaea, you see how it's already evolved and morphed with the Roman beliefs. As it spread among Gentiles, among pagans, among Romans and Greeks. The Jews never bought into the Christian thing because they knew their sources. They knew the Torah. But as the message started...
Because they knew it was bullshit. They knew it was all fan fiction of the Torah. They're like, a mystical rabbi from Daniel 7 and Isaiah 52, 53 and Zechariah and Daniel. Oh, you saw him in your mystical vision and your revelations? I don't think so. That's all it was. Disagreeing with the mythical, celestial, suffering Messiah.
To spread to non-Jewish communities who didn't know Torah, okay, so they could adopt these ideas. They wouldn't refute any of this stuff. To them, a demigod is just fine. It's just like what they're used to believing anyways. No big deal. Jesus is like Hercules. So as it spreads over the next few hundred years, it takes on all of these pagan elements. Now, we can reflect on for a moment, like, what was the point of all this? Like, it happened. That means God ultimately wanted it to happen. What was the point of this whole Jesus thing? So if he...
Let's hear what the rabbi thinks. What was the point of the whole Jesus thing?
He's not Mashiach. What was he? Why did God need this person to exist and cause this massive movement? So we've already quoted in the past what the Rambam said, that ultimately Christianity played an important role in spreading basic Torah fundamentals around the world, spreading knowledge of Tanakh, what they call the Old Testament, spreading knowledge of God, of Hashem, spreading knowledge of the concept of Mashiach, the concept of divine law. So they had that important role to play. That was ultimately our mission anyways. We were meant to spread godliness to the world, and Christians helped us in that endeavor.
They're meant to bring the Torah to the world, and Christianity helped them in that endeavor. You hear that loud and clear, Christians? You heard what he said? Don't tell me there's nothing they hate more. Even Tovia Singer, who's opposed to Jesus and Christianity, his whole career is about debunking it. Even Tovia Singer, Rabbi Tovia Singer, says Christianity and Islam are fulfillment of their prophecies of Judaizing the world.
Through their missionary activity and so on. And Muslims too, the Rambam says. They help to spread core Torah ideas to the rest of the world. That's what he says.
It reminds me of the See Through It All clip of the rabbi where it said that Paul was the greatest Jewish salesman of all time. And he said the same thing too, that they're spreading, it was Noahide laws for the nations.
In a more positive way and say the whole point. Now we can use that similar line of reasoning that the Rambam suggests and look at this connection, that Jesus-Esav connection. Because you can
look at the Jesus-Esau connection, he says.
You can look at Jesus in a more positive way and say the whole point of Jesus, you can argue, was to elevate the Roman Empire, to improve the Roman Empire from a totally godless, immoral, pagan empire to at least one that has some core Torah values.
So now the Christian Holy Roman Empire has some Torah values, and at least it's not pagan and it worships the God of Israel. But the Christians online tell us, there's nothing the rabbis hate more than Christianity. Nothing they fear more. Bullshit. They say all the time, and you can tell from the theology, they hate paganism more. They see Christianity as a stepping stone towards Noahidism. They see it as Noahidism. Those are the facts that Christians can't deal with and they're in denial about. And their cope is, you believe the rabbis? They all say the same thing and it's all true, and the Christians even confirm it.
You know, the Roman Empire was known for all kinds of sexual immorality. That ended once it became, for the most part, that ended once it became a Christian empire. It was known for infanticide and abortion and all kinds of things like that. Infanticide, killing babies in the Roman Empire was very normal. Again, once the empire became Christian Catholic, that ended. Christianity encouraged charity, it encouraged good works. You know, so it did bring.
So what, they had some eugenic policies? I don't even know, but it's like the opposite of that is dysgenic.
Things to the Roman Empire. It improved the Roman Empire in that way, from a totally godless pagan one to a more spiritual one.
Come on.
It wasn't perfectly monotheistic, but it was no longer as badly
all the Christians online talking shit about pagans. You're doing the work of the Jews and this rabbi. He thanks you for your service.
Theistic as before. It's a transition from polytheism towards monotheism. So you can also see, like, the silver lining, that there was a lot of positive things that the Jesus movement did to the whole Roman Empire.
You hear that? Loud and clear, right?
The world's largest at the time. So Jesus wasn't Mashiach because he didn't accomplish anything that the Tanakh describes Mashiach is supposed to do, but that Jesus movement...
That's not true. The whole story of Jesus is based on scriptures, many of them related to the Messiah. It's all fake, prophecy-fulfilling myth, but nonetheless, myth based on many messianic prophecies.
And did help to elevate the Roman Empire.
More spiritual just means more Jewish, yeah. The Holy Roman Empire, or the pagan Rome, became more spiritual when it became Christian.
Improve the Roman Empire and bring it one step closer to God. What is Yeshua really? Ein, Shin Vav, Esav. Yeshua is the same letters as Esav with a little yud. It's Esav with a yud is Yeshua. It's just Esav repackaged. So let's see. There's two ways to look at this. We can look at it a little
Esau repackaged.
more negatively, and we can look at it a little more positively. So the negative way of looking at it is, look, you see, Jesus is just another trick that Esav is pulling. It's just another way to take Jews astray, to try to trick Jews.
To try to tempt Jews from not follow the commandments and not keep kosher and circumcise, and to consume blood and food sacrifice to idols, to ensnare, tempting to ensnare the Israelites. Like it says in the Dead Sea Scrolls, Beliar, Satan, casts a net to ensnare the Israelites into idol worship. Moloch
for Esav to try and reclaim his birthright from Yaakov, to take back whatever it is. So you can see it as another...
No, Rome sold their birthright to Jacob by adopting Christianity, by taking the red bowl of lentils.
Their trick up Esav's sleeve. Yeshua is just Esav repackaged. It's another way to fight the Jews. Right? You can look at it like that. The Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls are, the Essenes, the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls are like the oldest really Hebrew texts that we still have today, complete Hebrew texts that we have. And the Dead Sea Scrolls, the community that produced the Dead Sea Scrolls, which we think are the Essenes, they were very messianic. They left Jerusalem. They went to the caves, to the deserts in the east, because they believed Jerusalem had been corrupted. And
they were anti-temple, like the Christianity began as anti-temple. Hebrews is all about anti-temple sacrifices. Jesus was the theological replacement of the temple, replacing the Passover sacrifice and the Yom Kippur temple atonement sacrifice. And the Essenes were fulfilling prophecy of Isaiah by preparing the way in the wilderness.
Their leader was somebody that they called the Moreh Tzedek, their righteous teacher. And they believed him to be like this Messiah who's going to save them. And when he passed away, they believed he would return. They were also, again, a messianic group living in the early 1st century before Jesus. They believed that their leader, who they called the Moreh Tzedek, it seems like his name was Yehuda, they called him the Moreh Tzedek, and he was a Cohen, a priest in Jerusalem that got fed up with the corruption in the temple and left, and they believed that he would return. They were waiting his second coming. And so some say that Jesus was presenting himself, this historical Jesus was presenting himself as the second coming of the Moreh Tzedek of the Essenes. And some say even John the Baptist maybe was an Essene, because
they say that too, but also there's a Essene scroll at Qumran called the Son of God scroll that's related to Daniel. I believe the Son of Man in Daniel, which shows that makes the Son of Man is the Son of God, which ropes in all of the Son of God and firstborn verses in the Old Testament for their Midrash, as well as the Son of Man is related to the servant and the righteous one and the branch and the rod and the rock and all these different concepts in the Old Testament.
Baptism, mikveh, was a big part of Essene beliefs. They were constantly purifying themselves through regular immersions in the mikveh. So one can also look at it as attaching some godliness to Esav. Right? Yeshua, it's a way to bring Esav back into God's fold. The Esav became the Roman Empire, this really wayward, idolatrous, immoral, bloody, violent place, and God wanted to soften it a little bit, bring it one step closer back to holiness, and the Jesus movement helped to do that. Right? To soften.
Yeah, weakened those pagans, those tough pagans. Weaken them in the pot and spiritualize them and put them in the right direction towards the Jewish God. Dude, this guy's just laying out the whole conspiracy right here, isn't he?
Often the Roman Empire. Ultimately, it destroyed the Roman Empire because not long after the Roman Empire became Christian, it was overrun by barbarians.
Christianity destroyed the Roman Empire.
But it was a way to cool it off and maybe bring Esav a little bit back closer to God. So Jesus is something of an intermediary between Esav and God. And in Jewish texts, there's a debate whether Gentiles are allowed an intermediary or not. We are forbidden from having an intermediary. Israel is Yashar El, right? Israel spells Yashar El. We have to be straight to God. We cannot have anything between us. We pray only to God. A Jew is not allowed to have any intermediary. Can a Gentile have an intermediary?
What about your intermediary Metatron? Which Jesus is just like a developed Enoch Metatron Melchizedek figure.
Some say no, some say yes. And it's interesting, it's different opinions. You know, the Rav Yaakov Emden, the Yavetz, he suggests in his commentary on Pirkei Avot, where it says a Knessia L'Shem Shamayim, he says, what's a Knessia L'Shem Shamayim? What's a gathering for the sake of heaven? He says a church, a Christian church is still for the sake of heaven. They gather ultimately for a positive purpose. So he was one of those on the opinion that Christianity is okay for Gentiles as a religion, especially Protestant Christianity, because it's a lot less idolatrous than Catholic Christianity.
Because they don't have the icons and the graven images and Jesus on the crucifix.
It's very idolatrous with all their saints and things and angels, and they pray to all kinds of people and have all kinds of icons and images.
Volker Spirit says this was the theme that Hitler himself repeated in several speeches, not just the table talks. What theme are you talking about, Volker Spirit? Great.
Now we can use that
there.
similar.
There was one more too. Oh wait, 7 Noahide laws.
God, but you could potentially have an intermediary.
No, it says, and you only have one God.
That's
Noahide laws. Yeah. One, that's it.
You can't. Well, Noahide laws originally meant Birkat Hashem was that you can't blaspheme God, but you could potentially have an intermediary.
No, it says, and you only have one God. That's not one of the Noahide laws?
One of the Noahide laws originally in the set list of 7 is that they're not allowed to blaspheme God. They're not allowed to curse Hashem.
But it also says no idol worship. The first one is blasphemy. The second one's idol worship, and worshiping a god a god as man would be idolatrous. But there's a huge push now for Unitarianism. People realizing how stupid and illogical the Trinity is. There's Christianity destroying Rome. Thanks, Volker Spirit. Also, scholars and theologians are saying Jesus actually never claimed to be God, only the Messiah. So which makes it, and they say all we can know about the real historical Jesus was he was a Jew that was an anti-Roman rebel and was killed by the Romans. So a Noahide compliant Jewish Jesus that was anti-Roman, but in Rome, Esau, Edom were the evil ones that killed him.
About in the 30 Noahide laws, that's in the end of days, that's shifted to in the Messianic age to recognizing that God is one and Hashem and not having an intermediary. But according to the original 7 Noahide laws, having an intermediary is technically not a problem. So that's one way of looking at it a little bit more positively. It's looking at Jesus, Yeshua being Esav with a Yud as a way to bring Esav at least a little bit closer to God and a little bit closer to Torah. And to solidify that connection of Jesus, Esav, you can, again, if we go to the book of Matthew, I think Jesus almost incriminates himself as the Esav, because in Matthew in chapter 10, he says, do not think I have come to bring peace to the earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword.
And the Messiah is supposed to bring peace.
For I have come to set a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a person's enemies will be those of his own household. And remember what Yitzhak told Esav.
So it injected division, endless division, from Catholic to Protestant, from Catholic to Orthodox schism, from Christian to non-believer, from Christian to pagan. All of these divisions, your enemies will be your own household, in your own nation. That's where the division came from.
You shall live by your sword. Esav lives by his sword. Jesus says, I didn't come to bring peace. I live by the sword. So I think here as well you see the Jesus-Esau connection further solidified.
Because Esau lives by the sword and serves his brother.
That's exactly what Yitzhak said. Al charbecha tichya, you shall live by your sword.
There
Jesus comes and says, I'm coming with the sword here. Okay, so that's the question. How do you like to see the Esav, Yeshua, Ein, Shin, Vav, Yud connection? Do you see it as a negative way? That here is another trick up Esav's sleeve. Here's Esav again repackaging himself as Jesus to bring Jews astray and to persecute Jews again and to bring about more inquisitions and more crusades and holocausts? Or do we look at it positively as Jesus bringing Esav, adding a Yud to Esav and bringing him a little closer back to Hashem? It's an open-ended question. You can think about which way you like
He's
to look
going to say
at it.
both.
Maybe it's both. In any
There it
case,
is.
the Catholic Church...
I hadn't even watched this clip yet, by the way, and I already know what he's going to say before it comes out of his
continued
mouth.
to teach replacement theology until recently, and they actually only gave it up in 1965. It was only in 1965 at the Second Vatican Council that they officially stopped blaming.
Now the Christians aren't kosher anymore. That's what he's saying. Or they are kosher.
And admitted that, quote, God does not take back the gifts. He gave it up in 1965. It was only in 1965 at the Second Vatican Council that they officially stopped blaming Jews for killing Jesus. And admitted that, quote, God does not take back the gifts he bestowed or the choice he made. So they finally recognize what Malachi says and what the Torah says, that God never doesn't change his mind. God chose the Jewish people forever, and he doesn't take back what he said.
And Paul says the same thing. They're hated according to the gospel, but loved on account of the patriarchs, that their call is irrevocable. He goes, Paul says, has God abandoned his people? No, God forbid, for their call is irrevocable.
So maybe that's part of the reconciliation between Yaakov and Esav at the end of days that we've been talking about since part one.
And here's another little factoid. If James the Just and Peter and the 12 of the community scroll in the Essenes, if James, which in Hebrew is actually Jacob, there was no James. So James is actually Jacob, Yaakov, who was the twin brother of Esau. If James was the brother of the Lord, the spiritual brother of the heavenly Jesus, that would mean James's brother is Esau in heaven. That's another little thing. So Seethordal didn't clip this one, but this other account did find a clip of the same rabbi talking about how the West is the new Egypt and the new Rome.
There's the Luxor obelisk in Paris. There's one in London called Cleopatra's Needle. And the similar one in New York City, Cleopatra's Needle. And there's one in Moscow, the Alexander Garden obelisk. So you see, at that time, the Vatican was the main hill of pagan Roman worship. It was already a religious site for the Romans, as a pagan religious site.
I gotta go
when the
soon,
Roman
guys.
Empire became Christian, the pagan Vatican Hill
Who wants to get us over 200?
part of the Catholic Church as well. They
Who's
just
watching and didn't chip in $10?
from pagan to
You know you want
Catholic to Christian.
You know you
So
should.
you have all these obelisks, strangely Egyptian obelisks, throughout the world of Edom, throughout the Christian world. And why is that?
I've been saying this shit. It's like this rabbi's watching my videos. I've been saying this shit. All the obelisks. It's like Edom is the new Rome. The 4 kingdoms. Egypt was one of the kingdoms in the 4 exiles. Just like Joseph in the Old Testament is sold by his brother Judah, goes down into the pit, descends into the pit, resurrects, ascends out of the pit, sold into slavery by Ishmael in one of the stories, Esau Ishmael, and then he sits on at the right hand of the throne of the Pharaoh, which obviously this never happened. And then his brothers come to see him, and they don't recognize him, like the Jews don't recognize Jesus. But then he ends up benefiting his brothers and then enslaving Egypt.
Specifically there. You don't see it in the world of Ishmael so much. You don't see these obelisks in China, in the Far East. It's a feature of Edom, of the Christian world, to have these obelisks in their capitals. Egypt.
Thanks for the shekel, Weez and the Juice. You're the man.
In their capitals. What's the Edom-Egypt connection? Last time we suggested one connection.
Joseph.
If you remember, the cross, the Christian cross, before it was a Christian cross, that symbol or a similar symbol was used in ancient Egypt. the ancient Egyptians had the symbol of Osiris, the symbol of light.
And I'm pretty sure he represents like red and chaos, just like Esau.
The Ankh, which was like a cross with a loop on top. And so there is like a connection between, when we talked last time about how Christianity was created based on the blueprints of other religions and combining myths and bringing together earlier myths. One of those was the myth of Osiris, who was this Egyptian god of life and resurrection. Osiris was killed and was resurrected, and one of his symbols was this cross-like with a loop on top. And Jesus himself, according to the Gospel of Matthew, grew up in Egypt. It says that he spent his youth in Egypt. So there is an Egypt-Edom connection already. There's the luck.
Oh, yeah. The Messiah will... Out of Egypt I call my son, which was a prophecy, a verse about Moses, and then they applied that to Jesus, and that's why Jesus had to leave, escape from Herod and flee to Egypt, so to fulfill that prophecy. Seen Kyle for 10 says, I owe you more than you know. Thanks for sharing that, Kyle. That's awesome. Freeing people from Jewish spells, you are indebted. You should tithe. I agree with that. Can only imagine. All right. I think we got to wrap it up there. We could pick up with the rest of this stuff the next day. We got some more stuff. I appreciate you all so much. We're so close. We're $6 away from 200 on Odyssey. I'm going to be back tomorrow with talking ceasefire, Trump's inauguration, the pagan Christian divide online, and joining me will be Richard Spencer. That is tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, so Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Huge shout out to everybody for the big donos. Odin, Darmy, Bifurcatio, Weezin the Juice, Seen Kyle, Troggy Trog, White Pilled, Big Mama, Zionist Cuck, says F all Indians too. They partied up with Israel and have already invaded Canada. Trump wants to get them into the U.S. as well now. We learned to shit on a toilet at age 4, you double-digit IQers. Thomas Smith, 1975. Keep up the great work. I left churchianity about a year ago. You pointed out so many things that don't make sense. See what I'm doing? We're winning. We're winning. Little more every day. We're waking people up. It's not in vain. People are getting it. The model works. We just need to scale it. We're having an effect. That's why the Christians are so threatened and insecure and slandering and attacking and doing their gay ops and their conspiracies about me, or blackballing and ignoring and scared to debate or slandering, because we're having an effect. They're shook. They're threatened. The truth is on our side. Appreciate you all for the support. I love you all. Can't wait to see what you have to say in the comments. Clip the show, share the links, like, follow, subscribe, join, all that stuff. And I will see you guys again tomorrow. Everybody take care. Thank you, Stacia. Thank you, White Pilled, for getting us over the goal. You guys are amazing. There is hope. Trump may be the Prince of Peace to usher in the apocalypse, but there is still a glimmer of hope because of you guys. And the spreading of awareness. Piercing through the Abrahamic Judeo matrix. The greatest conspiracy of all time. The Jewish Abrahamic temple cult that has conquered half the world. Will they succeed, or will we defeat them?